What if the secret to faster recovery, steadier energy, and a body that bounces back the way it used to is not locked inside an expensive sports drink bottle or a synthetic supplement powder, but already sitting in the foods named on the very pages of Scripture? The fatigue that hits in the middle of the day. The leg cramp that wakes a person at 2 in the morning. The slow heaviness after a long stretch of work in the heat. These are not always signs of aging. Most of the time, they are signs that the body is running low on the 4 minerals it cannot function without: potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, the electrolytes. Most people reaching for a brightly colored sports drink right now have no idea that modern hydration science is essentially trying to engineer in a laboratory what the ancient table already provided every single day. These are not folk remedies. These are foods that deliver real minerals in the exact forms human cells recognize at the membrane level. And today, this list will walk through 13 of them. Every single one rooted in Scripture. Every single one backed by real biochemistry. Stay until the very end, because number 13 is the food a tired carpenter from Galilee multiplied to feed 5,000 exhausted people on a hillside outside Bethsaida. Modern recovery science is only beginning to understand why he chose it. Number 11 on this list is a single ingredient the Bible literally calls the salt of the covenant. Leviticus chapter 2. And the body needs it more than almost anything else on this list. Number 12 is the drink the Song of Solomon names by name. The original sports drink. 2 ingredients you almost certainly already have in your kitchen. Nothing in this video is meant as medical advice. It does not replace the guidance of any qualified health professional, and anyone on regular medication should always speak with a doctor before changing what they eat or drink. The first food on this list is the fruit the priests of Israel wove into the hem of the high priest's robe in Exodus chapter 28, alternating with golden bells. 200 carved versions of this same fruit line the bronze pillars at the entrance of Solomon's temple, named Jachin and Boaz, in 1 Kings chapter 7. Deuteronomy chapter 8 listed among the 7 species of the Promised Land. There was a reason sacred architecture was built around this fruit. The body recognizes what is inside it. The pomegranate delivers roughly 236 milligrams of potassium per half cup of fresh seeds. Potassium is the dominant electrolyte inside every cell in the human body. The outside of the cell runs on sodium. The inside runs on potassium. The balance between them, regulated by the sodium-potassium pump in every cell membrane, drives every electrical signal the nervous system generates, and every contraction the muscles produce. When potassium drops, that balance falters. Muscles cramp. Energy collapses. Recovery slows. Pomegranate seeds also carry punicalagin, a polyphenol that gut bacteria convert into compounds called urolithins. Research has been studying urolithins for their anti-inflammatory activity, and clinical studies have associated pomegranate juice consumption with improvements in markers of arterial health and reductions in oxidative stress. The temple architects of the ancient world were not decorating. They were honoring a fruit the body was built to use. Split a fresh pomegranate. Spoon the ruby seeds into a small bowl. Eat them slowly, by the spoonful, or scattered across plain yogurt. This is the fruit that opens this list. The fruit modern cardiology research keeps returning to with quiet astonishment. HI viewers, have you ever split a real fresh pomegranate open in your own kitchen, yes or no? Drop the answer in the comments below, because the next food on this list is the snack that kept ancient soldiers and desert traders alive across thousands of miles of brutal heat. When the caravans crossed the Sinai. When the armies of Israel marched on long campaigns. When the pilgrims walked toward Jerusalem for the festivals. The food in nearly every leather satchel was the same. The date. The most mentioned fruit in the entire Bible, named more than 60 times across both Testaments. The Song of Solomon speaks of the palm tree by name. The patriarch Jacob, in Genesis chapter 43, sends dates among the gifts to Egypt. And modern recovery science is now catching up to what those caravans understood by instinct. A single medjool date carries roughly 167 milligrams of potassium and delivers it alongside a rapid hit of glucose and fructose. Those natural sugars restore blood sugar and muscle glycogen faster than almost any whole food available. This combination, fast sugars plus potassium, is precisely what the depleted body recognizes after physical exertion. Glycogen, the stored form of glucose in the muscles, runs down during effort. Potassium leaves through sweat. The date addresses both simultaneously, and it does so in a form the digestive system absorbs within minutes. The Islamic medical tradition, drawing on centuries of empirical observation across some of the hottest environments on Earth, specifically prescribed breaking a long fast with dates. There was a reason. Research published in the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition has examined date consumption in athletic populations and found dates effective for sustaining endurance performance, with the added benefit of meaningful micronutrient delivery that engineered energy gels cannot match. Eat 2 or 3 dates after exertion. Pair them with a small glass of water. Better, pair them with coconut water or a few crushed almonds if recovery is the goal. This is the food a tired body recognizes in the first bite. And the next fruit on this list is the one a prophet pressed onto the wound of a dying king. It delivers 3 of the 4 major electrolytes in a single small package. 2 Kings chapter 20. King Hezekiah is dying. The prophet Isaiah arrives at the bedside with a specific instruction. Take a lump of figs and lay it on the boil. And the king recovers. That is the scripture. That is the prescription. And 3,000 years later, modern research is still working out the mechanisms inside the fruit that made that healing possible. Figs deliver 3 of the 4 major electrolytes in a single bite. A half cup of dried figs carries roughly 500 milligrams of potassium, more than 70 milligrams of calcium, and a meaningful amount of magnesium. That combination is unusual. Most fruits deliver 1 electrolyte, well, maybe 2. Figs deliver 3. Potassium for nerve signal transmission and muscle contraction. Calcium for the same muscle contraction that potassium initiates, working in precise partnership. Magnesium for the relaxation phase that follows. Every cramp the body has ever known is rooted in a breakdown of that 3-mineral conversation. Fresh figs add physin, a proteolytic enzyme research has studied for its role in tissue repair. They add psoralen and benzaldehyde, compounds with documented antimicrobial activity in laboratory studies. They add pectin fiber that feeds beneficial gut bacteria. Split a fresh fig open in late summer, and you see the small pink-seeded interior glistening against the deep purple skin. Eat it slowly. Or in winter, when fresh figs are gone, tear off a piece of pressed dried fig cake from a Mediterranean grocer. The same minerals concentrate into a denser package, ready to travel. The body recognizes both forms. And the next food on this list is named more than 140 times across Scripture. It is the food that delivers the 1 electrolyte almost every natural food teacher gets completely wrong. The olive tree appears more than 140 times across the Bible. The Mount of Olives. The dove returning to Noah with an olive branch in its beak. The Good Samaritan in Luke chapter 10 pouring oil and wine into the wounds of a stranger on the road to Jericho. Kings were anointed with olive oil. The lamps of the temple burned olive oil. And the fruit itself, before it ever became oil, was on every table in the ancient Near East. Brined in clay jars. Eaten by the handful. Sodium-rich. This is the part most natural food teachers leave out. Sodium. The electrolyte the modern wellness industry has spent 40 years demonizing. And yet sodium is the mineral the body loses in the greatest quantities through sweat. Sodium is what drives the thirst response after exertion. Sodium is what tells the kidneys to retain the water a person drinks. Without sodium, the fluid passes through and never restores circulating volume the way the depleted body needs. A small handful of brine-cured olives delivers natural sodium in a form the body absorbs efficiently, alongside oleocanthal, the polyphenol research has identified for anti-inflammatory activity. Olives also carry vitamin E, copper, and the same monounsaturated fats that make the Mediterranean diet one of the most studied eating patterns on Earth. Eat a small handful of brine-cured olives in the afternoon. Pair them with a piece of whole grain bread. The olives deliver the sodium most natural food lists pretend does not exist. The body recognizes it immediately. And the next food on this list is what was actually flowing in the land, flowing with milk and honey, and it carries two electrolytes most modern diets cannot deliver together. The phrase appears more than 20 times across the Old Testament. A land flowing with milk and honey. Most modern readers picture supermarket dairy and a plastic bear-shaped bottle. That is not what Scripture was describing. The milk was fresh from goats and sheep, often cultured into simple cheese within hours of milking. And inside that cultured cheese sits two of the four major electrolytes that modern diets struggle to deliver together. Goat cheese carries calcium in concentrations that rival cow cheese, plus naturally occurring sodium from the curing process. Calcium is the electrolyte that partners with potassium to drive muscle contraction. Sodium is what holds the water in circulation while those minerals do their work. Two electrolytes. One food. Together. Goat milk also carries A2 casein rather than the A1 casein in most commercial cow milk. Research suggests A2 casein may be easier on human digestion for some people. The fresh cultured cheese also brings live beneficial bacteria into the gut, plus caprylic acid, a medium-chain fatty acid that research has examined for antimicrobial activity in laboratory studies. A thick slice of fresh goat cheese on a piece of barley bread. A small drizzle of olive oil on top. A pinch of dried oregano. This is the shepherd's snack. 3 foods. Almost zero preparation. And what comes next is the fruit the Israelites cried for in the wilderness. The fruit they missed so much they wept. Modern hydration science explains exactly why their bodies were sending that signal. Numbers chapter 11, verse 5. The Israelites have been wandering in the wilderness for weeks, eating only manna. And they break down. They weep. They name the foods they miss with painful specificity. We remember the fish we ate in Egypt freely, the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, and the garlic. They did not weep for gold. They wept for melons. That tells you something about how central this fruit was to daily life in the ancient Near East. And about what the body registers when it loses something essential. Watermelon is roughly 92% water by weight. Eating it is genuinely comparable to drinking water, but with minerals riding along inside every cell of the fruit. A 2-cup serving carries roughly 320 milligrams of potassium and meaningful amounts of magnesium. And watermelon delivers something almost no other fruit carries. L-citrulline, an amino acid the body converts into arginine, which supports the production of nitric oxide. Nitric oxide relaxes blood vessel walls. Better blood flow means faster delivery of oxygen and nutrients to recovering muscle tissue. Research published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry has documented reductions in muscle soreness in athletes who drank watermelon juice before intense exercise, with the researchers crediting the L-citrulline mechanism specifically. Eat watermelon cold in the heat of summer. Blend it with a small pinch of sea salt and a squeeze of lime for a recovery drink the body absorbs in minutes. The Israelites wept for it. Now you understand the signal. And the vegetable they named in the very same breath, Numbers 11 verse 5, is the next food on this list. It does something so simple that no modern sports drink has ever quite matched it. The cucumber. Named alongside the melons in the same verse, by the same exhausted people, missing the same things their bodies could not replace with manna. Roughly 96% water by weight. The cucumber is the quiet foundation. The food whose primary recovery function is the structured hydration it delivers, alongside small amounts of potassium and magnesium, plus silica that supports the connective tissue of joints, skin, and tendons. Traditional Ayurvedic medicine specifically prescribed cucumber as a cooling food during fever, heat exposure, and inflammatory conditions. The empirical observation predated any modern understanding of its water content or mineral profile. The intuition was correct. Electrolytes without adequate water do not do their job. The minerals require fluid to move through the bloodstream, cross cell membranes, and restore circulating volume. Slice cucumber into a glass of cold water with a sprig of mint. Eat it sliced with a pinch of sea salt. Add it to every recovery meal the kitchen produces. This is the humblest and most consistently useful hydration food on the entire list. If this video is helping you see your kitchen differently, hit the like button right now and subscribe if you have not yet. It is the single biggest thing that helps this channel reach the people who genuinely need it. Now, the next food on this list is the one the priests of Israel carved into the lampstand of the tabernacle itself. And it does something inside the cells of the human body that modern biochemistry has only recently named. Exodus chapter 25, verse 33. God instructs Moses on the precise design of the golden menorah. The cups, the knobs, the flowers, all shaped like almond blossoms. Sacred lighting modeled directly on the shape of a single nut tree's bloom. And the same nut returns in Numbers chapter 17, when Aaron's rod is placed inside the tabernacle overnight and budded by morning with ripe almonds. The sign of divine choice. The food of awakening. A single ounce of almonds, roughly 23 nuts, delivers about 76 milligrams of magnesium and around 75 milligrams of calcium, plus monounsaturated fats and vitamin E. Magnesium is the mineral required for over 300 enzymatic reactions in the human body, including every single step of ADP production. ADP is the molecular currency the cells use to do work. Without magnesium, ADP cannot form. Without ADP, muscles cannot contract. Without muscle contraction, nothing in the body moves. The calcium in almonds works alongside the potassium and magnesium in the other foods on this list to maintain the bone density that supports the entire skeletal frame as the body ages. Lightly roast a small handful with a pinch of sea salt. Eat them as a mid-afternoon snack. The body uses them at the cellular level within hours. And what comes next is the food a starving man in the book of Genesis traded his entire inheritance for. His body, in that moment of full depletion, knew exactly what it needed. The story is in Genesis chapter 25. Esau, the older twin, comes in from the field one evening utterly spent. Hungry past words. His younger brother Jacob is at home, stirring a clay pot of red lentil stew over a small fire. The smell fills the tent. And Esau, in a moment of complete bodily depletion, agrees to trade his entire birthright, his standing as the firstborn son, for a single warm bowl. For 3,000 years, that story has been told as a parable of foolishness. But look at it through a different lens. Esau was not a fool. Esau was a man whose body, in a state of total depletion, recognized exactly what it needed in the next bite. A cup of cooked lentils delivers roughly 730 milligrams of potassium, 18 grams of plant protein, 6 milligrams of iron, and around 70 milligrams of magnesium. Potassium for the cellular signaling the depleted body had been losing through hours of sweat. Iron for the oxygen delivery the working muscles had been running short on. Magnesium for the ADP production the energy systems desperately needed to rebuild. Folate for cellular repair. Lentils require no soaking. They cook quickly. Cook them down with garlic, cumin, and olive oil into a simple stew. Eat a small bowl when the energy fades. The body recognizes lentils the way Esau's body recognized them 3,000 years ago. And what comes next is what happens when a whole pan of leaves wilts down to a single spoonful of something so mineral-dense the cells can barely keep up. Spinach and the dark leafy greens of the ancient world were the hill country foraging foods of the people of Scripture. The herbs gathered from the fields. The greens stewed down with olive oil and salt. And when a whole pan of raw spinach meets heat, it transforms. The mountain of leaves collapses in minutes into a small dense mound of something concentrated. Half a cup of cooked spinach carries roughly 420 milligrams of potassium and close to 80 milligrams of magnesium. That mineral density is among the highest of any food on this list. Spinach also delivers iron, folate, vitamin K, lutein, and zeaxanthin. The last two have been studied in research for their role in supporting eye health and protecting the macula from age-related changes. Cooking matters here. Heat reduces the oxalate content of spinach and makes its minerals more available to the body. Eat it cooked, not raw. Wilt a few handfuls into a hot pan with olive oil and a sliced garlic clove. The result is a small dense pile of dark green that does what almost no other vegetable on earth can match. Now, remember the first curiosity from the very start of this video. The single ingredient the Bible literally calls the salt of the covenant. The mineral the body needs more than almost anything else on this list. The electrolyte the modern wellness industry has spent decades teaching people to fear. The thing modern recovery science is finally circling back to with quiet correction. The story arrives now. Leviticus chapter 2, verse 13. Every grain offering shall be seasoned with salt. The salt of the covenant of your God you shall not let be missing from your grain offering. With every offering you shall offer salt. The priests of Israel were commanded to add salt to every single sacrifice that crossed the altar. And in Mark chapter 9, verse 50, Jesus tells his disciples plainly, salt is good. Sodium is the electrolyte the body loses in the greatest quantities through sweat. The thirst response after exertion is driven by sodium loss. The kidneys retain water based on sodium levels. Without adequate sodium intake, the water a person drinks passes through and never properly restores fluid volume. This is the mineral most natural health teaching has been getting wrong for 40 years. A small pinch of real sea salt, the unprocessed kind that still carries trace minerals, alongside a glass of water or stirred into a recovery meal is what the body has been asking for. The ancient priests salted everything. The ancient soldiers carried salt in their packs. The covenant itself, according to Scripture, was salted. Use real sea salt. Use it with intention. A pinch on the watermelon. A pinch in the cucumber water. A pinch alongside the olives. The body recognizes it. And what comes next is the second curiosity from the start of this video. The ancient drink the Song of Solomon names by name. The original sports drink, made with 2 ingredients almost every kitchen already has. The Song of Solomon, chapter 5, verse 1. I have eaten my honeycomb with my honey. I have drunk my wine with my milk. Proverbs chapter 24, verse 13. My son, eat honey, because it is good. And in Judges chapter 14, when Samson finds a swarm of bees inside the carcass of a lion, he scoops out the honey with his hands and eats it on the road. The ancient world reached for honey at the end of long days. And modern recovery science is now circling back to understand what was happening inside that simple jar. Honey carries glucose and fructose in roughly equal proportion, the same balance modern sports drinks try to engineer with industrial sweeteners. Glucose enters the bloodstream rapidly to restore blood sugar and replenish muscle glycogen. Fructose travels to the liver to restore liver glycogen. Honey also carries small amounts of potassium, magnesium, and calcium, along with antimicrobial compounds. Raw honey, harvested without heat, brings additional compounds research has studied for activity against bacteria. Now add a squeeze of lemon and a small pinch of sea salt. The lemon delivers vitamin C, the most studied water-soluble antioxidant in human biochemistry, and citrate that supports mineral absorption. The salt restores sodium. The honey replenishes glycogen and delivers trace minerals. 3 ingredients. 1 glass. The body absorbs it in minutes. Mix 1 tablespoon of raw honey into a warm glass of water. Add the juice of half a lemon. A small pinch of sea salt. Drink it slowly. This is the drink the Song of Solomon names by name. The original sports drink. Sitting in nearly every kitchen, hidden in plain sight. And now the moment arrives. Number 13. The food promised at the very start of this video. The food a tired carpenter from Galilee multiplied on a green hillside outside Bethsaida to feed 5,000 exhausted people who had walked all day to hear him speak. The Gospel of John, chapter 6. The Gospel of Matthew, chapter 14. 2 loaves of barley bread. And 2 small fish. Picture the scene. The crowd is hungry. The hour is late. The disciples are anxious. A small boy steps forward and offers what he has. 2 loaves and 2 small fish. Probably sardines or a similar small Mediterranean fish, the kind a child would have carried in a leather pouch on a long walk. And Jesus blesses them. And the 5,000 are fed. And modern nutrition science, looking at what those small fish actually contained, finally begins to understand the precision of that choice. Small whole fish, the kind eaten bones and all, deliver an extraordinary nutritional package. Calcium from the soft, edible bones. Sodium and trace minerals from the salt of the sea. Omega-3 fatty acids, in the form of EPA and DHA, that research has consistently linked to reductions in inflammatory markers and improvements in cardiovascular outcomes. Vitamin D from the natural oils. Selenium. Iodine. Complete protein with every essential amino acid. 5,000 people on a hillside, fed and restored, with the most nutritionally complete food the Mediterranean Sea produced. Eat sardines from a small tin packed in olive oil, the way Mediterranean cultures have eaten them for centuries. Lay them on a piece of whole grain bread. Add a squeeze of lemon and a pinch of sea salt. The body uses what is inside them at the cellular level within hours. 5,000 people. 2 small fish. A blessing. And modern biochemistry has spent decades trying to engineer in a laboratory what was already on that grass. So there it is. 13 biblical electrolyte bombs. Restore potassium with pomegranate, dates, figs, watermelon, lentils, and dark leafy greens. Replenish sodium with olives, goat cheese, sea salt, and small fish. Rebuild calcium with figs, goat cheese, almonds, and small fish. Replace magnesium with figs, almonds, lentils, and greens. Replenish fluids with watermelon, cucumber, and honey water. 5 categories. 13 foods. One simple framework the body has been waiting to be given. The people who ate these foods were not primitive. They were observant. They paid attention to what restored a depleted body, what carried them through long days under the sun, what their bodies recognized as nourishment after hard work. And they passed that knowledge down through cooking, through feasts, through sacred ritual, and through the scriptures themselves. Pick 2 or 3 of these foods this week. A small bowl of pomegranate seeds in the morning. A handful of dates and almonds in the afternoon. A glass of honey water with lemon and sea salt after work. Watch what happens in the body over a month. And the next video on this channel goes deeper still. It covers the forgotten ancient drink the people of the Mediterranean fermented from a single bitter root, and drank warm at the end of every long day. One of the oldest handmade remedies still alive in small village kitchens, and one no modern bottled beverage on any shelf today comes close to matching. Until then, take care of yourself. Starting with what the table already knows how to give.